All right, so one thing we're going to notice as we transition into quarter 3 is that during class, I ask you guys to do more. I've had a really hard time trying to decide at what point I just start randomly calling on people because I don't like making people feel scared to be in a space, right? Like in a classroom or around certain people. And I know math can kind of scare some people, so I like to let you guys get comfortable first. But know that, like, starting next week, I will be randomly calling on you. So I want you to use today to try to get more comfortable speaking up when, like, everybody is speaking up. And one thing I want to encourage you is being wrong is fine. I'm wrong a lot. I was wrong last night when I accidentally snapped a part of my woodworking project that I'm doing. But, hey, I can glue it back together. So, but if you're going to be wrong, be confident about being wrong. Right? Like, don't be like, 2 plus 3 is... No, like 2 plus 3 is 5, and if it's wrong, whatever, I'll figure out that it's wrong. Right? So as we go through class, please engage with me. We're going to have a quiz on Monday. It's probably going to be like 3 questions. It's just going to be a checkpoint so I can see you on paper, drawing arrows, doing distribution, and combining like terms. I was updating Khan Academy this morning and did update some stuff and was going to update February 3rd's grades and decided, this is a lot of check minuses and missings that I would be putting into map. I don't want to be that mean on a Thursday morning. So I want to encourage you guys, if you are one of those people that would have a check minus or a missing on your February 3rd work, get it done. It was due yesterday. Either get it done or send me questions. No one is sending me questions. That means I should be able to update grades, and if you didn't get it done, you just didn't do it. Now, if you're struggling on it, that's different, but no one's telling me that, like, it's an issue, and it was due yesterday. Jocelyn? We're not here Monday. This coming Monday, we're not here. We're not here next Monday. Okay, I meant Tuesday. You know what just know that that's me being silly. The blue group is taking their quiz tomorrow. So, yeah. So blue is going to be leading us really, like, in a big way. They, because of the snow day, are now going to be, like, not only leading us, but then a day ahead. Actually, they're going to be a day ahead after tomorrow and 2 days ahead after the next day. So when we get back on Tuesday, like, we've got some ground to cover. So we may do the quiz as, like, an out-of-class thing that I tell you do at AO and bring back to me, because we got a lot of ground to cover. So with that said, please head your notes with simplifying expressions. We're going to dive into this today. And I am going to show you my completed notes as we go. But what that means is you have to tell me to slow down if I'm going too fast, because I'm not going to write this down. But I want to try to keep my hand out of the way, so, like, it's not under the camera in the way as we write these down. So these are going to be the first 2 that we start on. A reminder from last week. Why I had up there to fold your notes hot dog style is it would work very well if you fold your notes hot dog style and do one problem on the left and then a problem on the right and then a problem on the left and a problem on the right. Like, that lets you get more out of your graph paper and keep it a little cleaner. Also, if you would like to grab a highlighter or 2 is the most that you would need today, you can grab them from my supply up there. Also, there are rulers up there. If you would like to grab a ruler to get nice straight lines, when we wipe off our desks, you can wipe off those things. Trust me, the wipes are definitely wet enough. You can wipe off a desk and a highlighter and a ruler if you decide to. So yeah, you should have your own in your supply, but if you don't, you can borrow my stuff. But guys, I really suggest using a highlighter today. The sharpener's right there, Drew, if you need to sharpen a pencil. Thank you, Victor. I appreciate you getting out a highlighter. So the first problem here has a trapdoor with this -5, and I will tell you the second one has a trapdoor with this -3, because remember, it's not really minus. Oh, absolutely. That's yours. Guys, my graph paper is not my graph paper. It's yours. My graph paper is at my house. I'm not joking, but I like my graph paper in notebooks. So actually, here, I'll weird flex on you guys. You guys know what a weird flex is, right? It's like when somebody's like, I'm better than you, but you're like, yeah, but at a weird thing. So it's like cool, but in a way that doesn't matter. I like what's called weighted graph paper. So it's got thin lines and heavy lines. So when you look at the page, there are small boxes that are super light, and then there are big boxes that are a little heavier. I don't know if you can even see from up there because it's super light. Yeah, if you zoom way in, this is the sort of paper that I dig. So yeah, take my graph paper. Please use my graph paper. So why did I say that there is a trapdoor in both of these? Because subtraction is tricky. And actually, subtraction is a lie, right? Guys, we should be trying these problems. When I look around and people are just like sitting there, I'm just talking to try to give you a moment to get a head start on me. Also, my camera won't focus, so I'm trying to figure out that before I move it over to you guys. There we go. Where are my blockers? My little thing so you can't see the whole problem. As always, when there is a term that isn't doing anything else, we can just bring it down. So the negative k or the negative y over in the right problem, both of those can just be brought down. What is not optional to draw? The arrows. So if you don't have the arrows on your paper, get them on your paper right now. What's today's date, by the way? 2/4. Thank you so much. Did it work?
Yes.
Sweet.
And I remember how to do it today.
That's mastery, right?
I know.
How do I turn this back how it should be? Nah, you're just going to sit there for now. I don't need to plug it in right now. I'm using my computer's webcam. It's just not as high quality as this one. All right, so then the distribution. Guys, I'm writing out all of my work today, so if you have been at all struggling on this, I would highly suggest that you write out all the work as well. I'm going to zoom super in to make sure that our friends in the back and everybody in the class can see this. If you still can't see this, please tell me. I have kids on Blue Day who are doing a really, really good job of telling me when they can't see the board. Good morning, Lucian. All you missed is the header. We are still on problem 1. So the header is still up here, actually. It's simplifying expressions. So these first 2 words right up here, that is our header. So when the distribution tells me multiply the 2 times the negative 2k and the 2 times the, wait a minute, that's not 5. That's negative 5. So that's our trapdoor right here, is it looks like minus 5, and it is, quote unquote, minus 5. But we know subtraction is a lie, so the multiplication becomes 2 times negative 5. We do those multiplications and then look for like terms. I didn't mean to do that. So we do the multiplication. This is where we're going to use our highlighters, guys. Highlight the like terms that we can combine with each other. I know my K's look weird. If you'd like to make fun of me, that's fine. Einstein does not want you to make fun of me. He's like, leave the math teacher alone. Not all mathematicians can write letters like they are supposed to. Oh, Einstein. I think he's trying to show some principle about gravity, or something like that. So, a question I'm going to ask us over and over today is, are our like terms the variables or the constants? So here, our like terms are the variables. And then, do they get along or fight? Here, they're both bad guys, so they get along. And we get negative 5k plus a negative 10. I'm going to scooch real quick this up so that I can scooch my notes up a bit, and then I'm going to show you these again. Try that second one on your own, but be careful. This is not minus 3. It should really be used as negative 3, right? Be careful when we do the distribution. That should actually be used as a negative 3. So actually, guys, when I wrote that down, I wrote it down as a negative. So, check it. I wrote y plus -3. And if you want, you can put the arrows on the bottom. So I'm going to just make a quick pass and make sure that we all got notes with a header and dates and that we're solving these problems. Try this second one. I don't care if you do it on the right or if you do it below the first one, but if you do it below, draw a line across so you know that it's a different problem. Try to section out your problems. But now I like it. You were like, oh, went a little bit too wide there. If you open a parentheses, close it. Just like if you open a door, close it. Like, I don't know if your parents have ever yelled at you about, like, who left this cabinet door open? Or the refrigerator. I didn't really ever do that, but I think my brother got yelled at for that sometimes.
Well, it's really whenever anyone opens it for 5 minutes. It's not my family's place. He's dad will be like, who opened the fridge?
Yep. All right, so you don't have to do the arrows on the bottom. Somebody yesterday was like, I don't like that. I was like, okay. You don't have to do them beneath. You can do them above. It's totally your choice. The -y falls down, right? Because nothing really happens with it. What do we get after the multiplication? Just shout it out. -3 times -3y. 9y. -3 times 5. -15. Any questions on how we got to -y plus a positive 9y plus a -15? We got the positive because a negative times a negative makes a positive. And we got the -15 because that was a negative times a positive, which stays negative. Go ahead and combine those like terms on your own. Do they get along or fight? They fight, right? One is negative and one is positive. What number is actually in front of this y? A 1, right? Because we don't show it, it's actually -1y. So -1 and positive 9, when they fight each other, who wins? The 9, the positive, right? So we get positive 8y equals -15. Please ignore this line that I drew. I drew my line too soon, and then I drew a really heavy line to show that I had drawn that line too soon. Any questions? Because you're going to do one on your own, and I'm going to promise to actually give you a couple minutes where I don't talk for you to solve it. And I'm going to use a sand timer to make me be quiet. Well, this is 5 minutes, so that would be a long time to brush your teeth. Although, I brush my teeth so long, my electric toothbrush stops. It stops like after 2 minutes, and I have to turn it back on. So I'm like, I'm not done here. It might stop after 1 minute. All right, try this one. I'm still going to show my notes. I'm going to put them back up just in case you're still writing that down. But try this one on your own. It's one big expression. Sometimes kids are like, that's two things, right? No. Well, I mean, kind of, but they're put together. If you want to say, is that 2 things? Yeah, it's actually like 7 things. But it's all put together. We're going to simplify. I said I was going to stop talking, so I will. If anybody wants me to come around just really quickly and look at what you're doing, like you can raise a hand. Now that we're back at school, like I will definitely respect distance, but I will come by and like check what you're writing if you want. So I love colors. I'm going to color code this like in 3 different ways, but the first thing you should always be writing is the arrows. Do you want to show it? Do you want checked, or are you, like, done? Sorry, I guess I should ask that question. Well, here, let's check together, then. I was meaning, like, right off the bat. But where you're at right now, because I can kind of see from here, I bet me showing steps by steps will help you. If you want to see the first step, look up at the board. If not, keep doing your own work. If you don't want to see the first step, keep doing your own work. Whoa, are you trying to take Miriam? I will fight. I was about to say, I'm keeping her here. You don't have to have this split in colors, and if this confuses you, please realize this is all still one big thing. Just from my light blue arrows, I'm doing this multiplication. From my light green arrows, I'm doing this multiplication. So if you jumped right to the answers of your multiplication, you should have gotten negative 2n, negative 6. Guys, check your signs, check your signs, check your signs. Negative 35 and negative 14n. Any questions on how I got that? Because, guys, this is like the February 3rd homework that some of you aren't done with. The distribution with negative coefficients. This negative 7, that's the trap door here. That's the tricky part. But fortunately, these are both positive, so it's not like a double trap door. But the negatives are the trap door. Now we combine like terms. And as I already have color-coded, we got like terms both ways. Do our variables get along or fight? Look at the variables. They get along, right? They're both bad guys. So the variables get along and make? Yeah, negative 16n. And do the constants get along or fight? They also get along. A lot of getting along here. Questions? Questions? Because we're about to step it up to not whole numbers. Like fractions and decimals. Let's try these. I'm going to keep my notes up. So actually, I'm going to scooch these up. This is called rational coefficients. Rational means not a whole number, right? Rational means a ratio value. So for anyone who's still writing this down, I'll leave this up. But everybody else, I want you to start trying these two problems. So two separate problems here again, right? Not one big problem, two separate problems. We got a P problem and a B problem. If you have a B problem, you have to call a specialist because they are protected. If you have a P problem, you likely need a diaper. See what I did there? When we look at the fraction problem, we see automatically it's kind of quote-unquote nice because what does it already have? Drew? Yeah, matching denominators, right? So it's a little bit nice already. And then we just have to look like, well, is there any distribution to do? No, there's parentheses. Guys, don't fall into the trap to think every time you see parentheses there's a multiplication to do. There's a plus in front of this. So there's no multiplication. It's just all addition. So we just need to combine like terms, color code it. Highlight your like terms. I'm tipping over my camera. Guys, I really want to go disc golf. Can I just say that? It's so cold outside. Like terms are our variables. We haven't been doing a lot of this lately. So remember that with fraction work, once you have your matching denominators, you keep the denominator. So guys, here is how I was telling the other classes to kind of get in a habit. You've already got the denominator of 7. You've already got the matching variable of p. So go ahead and bring down the denominator and the variable. Then look at your numerators. So then we have a -4 and a -2. What's a -4 and a -2? -6. I know some of you are highlighting, but it seems like some of us might be doodling or maybe off task. So hopefully we're done with this problem. It's okay if we're done with the problem and we're sketching or whatever. But try the next one, right? The next challenge is move on and try the next one on your own. There's a subtraction, quote unquote, which really means there's a negative When you're ready to see the answer, look up at the board. Any questions from this section before we continue to step up our work? Guys, I know I'm moving quickly, so please tell me if I'm moving too fast. I'm going to wait here for a second. But the only work we needed to do here was adding. But this addition was not very easy because it was a positive 1.3 and a negative 3.2, both of them variable term, right? Sometimes we don't say the variable, but if we're looking at it, we know that it's there. Here's my trick for you. Since both of these have one decimal place, anyone know what I'm going to say? You can actually think for a moment instead of 3.2 and 1.9. Instead, make your math easy, guys. Decimals are kind of hard to work with. Couldn't I just think about this like -32 and 13? If I had a -32 and a positive 13, my bad guy wins by 19, but actually it's 1.9 because we know we need one decimal place. So for addition or subtraction, if you can do the same thing to both numbers, you can temporarily make it easier by looking at it like whole numbers, not partial numbers. As long as you can do the same thing to both. All right, this is what I meant by the next trickier thing. Try this one. Give me a second. Don't freak out on me. If you get done with that one and you're really itching for a challenge, there's our next two. Victor, I like your problem solving, but you can also borrow a ruler if you'd like. You're good. I like what you did. That was creative. I also just like to try to make your guys' lives easier. Do we need to find a common denominator between the 8, the 10, and the 5? No, that's the trap I fell into when I looked at this problem. I was like, oh, 8, 10, and 5, 40, right, is what my head thought. No, because when we highlight our like terms, we have 2 variable terms and 2 constant terms. So hopefully the work you've already written down, because I gave you half the sand timer of a head start, is that we need a common denominator these 2 values and these 2 values. So to do that, well, this one has a denominator, this one didn't. So remember, we can make any number a fraction by putting it over 1. So we multiply to get a denominator of 8. For my constants, what should the denominator become? 10. And these scribbles, what was I doing over here? Times 2. My handwriting just got super messy. So times 2 on top and bottom, times 8 on top and bottom, as our work shows. Your work should show this so somebody could figure out how you got from here to here. And then we do the combining like terms. Variables, do they get along or fight? They fight. 1 positive, 1 negative. The negative wins. Constants, get along or fight? Man, nobody can get along anymore. Maybe we've all been stuck inside too long, but they fight. There, the positive actually wins, though. Any questions on that one? There was no distribution, but the trapdoor was the common denominators. Does that help? All right, the next 2, try this distribution. Hey, what number is this in front of the parentheses? Negative 1/2. What number's in front of this parentheses? Negative 3. This is not a 3. It is a negative 3. Try those on your own. I'm going to flip this back. I may give you the whole time to try both of those on your own. Guys, I'm really fighting myself to sit and do nothing and wait for you guys. But I need to do that so you have time to ask questions. You need to try this on your own. So when you trip right now, I can catch you. Right? Like, it's like we're hiking together or whatever else. Like, whatever analogy you want to give to it. It's better to take risks when you have somebody here to catch you. When you're at home, like, this is your only school day this week. Seems absurd to me, This is where we're at in 2021. You have one school day this week. Thank you, Ohio snow. Now, snow day was nice. I enjoyed it. I made a chessboard. But, yeah, I'll show you if you want. But for real, ask me if you don't know what to do right now. I'm going to give you a couple more minutes to try this on your own. But it's okay to make mistakes. That's fine. It's even okay for your notes to end up wrong and you have to, like, cross it out as long as you learn from it. The first thing that should always be written is arrows. If you're ready to see the answer, look up at the board. If you got it wrong, please ask me what happened. Remember that multiplying fractions goes top to top, bottom to bottom. We can sound fancy and say numerator to numerator and denominator to denominator, but we don't have to say that. It's top to top, bottom to bottom, right? So when the half multiplies into both of these, it's a negative. So essentially, it's going to make each of these opposite. So my y value turns out positive. My constant value turns out negative. Half of 3, well, if we set up fraction times fraction, we get 3 over 2. Or as a decimal, guys, what would this be? What decimal is 3.5, or 3 halves, or 1 and a half? What decimal? 1.5, thank you. You could also say it 1.5 in decimal form. Half of 10, 5, and like we said, it becomes negative. I realize this green is not the best thing to write in, especially because the sun comes in bright. Guys, if you ever can't see the screen because the sun or whatever, especially right now, it's starting to get bright during your class. Normally, like, between your class and the next one, I, like, get up and shut some blinds or whatever. Tell me. If you can't see the board, tell me. We're all still getting used to being over here. When I shift back to Phoenix, please come see me next year. I won't have any windows. I think I'll have high, like, skylight type windows, but I won't have any, like, windows. Right now, this just makes me want to jump out it and, like, run away, though. So, do you really think I wouldn't? You laugh, but I can fit out that window. You gotta. The trick is hold the top and send your feet out first. If you're trying to climb out a window, there's your Hudson Life advice for today. Climbing through windows is easier, feet first. Blue Stan's like, why? What? What? Many a time. Well, more so climbed in a window. I do not break into houses. I realize now what that sounds like. I used to not take keys with me when I would leave my house because I would ride my bicycle. And then I would get home and everyone was gone. And it was like, dang it, I'm locked out. But our house never had air conditioning because it's a really old house. So the windows would be open. And I don't know if you guys have those little safety locks that are at like 1.5 inches or 2 inches high. Like, so your window can be open a little bit. Yeah, you can break those. So on multiple occasions, I would like find a window that was kind of open and just like shove it up, or climb up onto the roof, get to the second story, and climb in a window there. But yes, I had to break into my own house many times as a child. Once, my neighbor called the cops, and they showed up, and they rang my doorbell, and I answered, and they're like, "Did you just break into your house?" And I was like, "Yeah." And they're like, "You live here, right?" I was like, "Yeah." Because everyone in Coshocton knows each other, and they're like, "Okay. Your neighbors think you broke into your house." I was like, okay. That's how things go in Coshocton. They just come by and they're like, everything good? Okay, good.
My brother, like, this was like a couple years ago, but we were
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, we never had a dog, so we didn't have a dog door. That would have been an easier route to go, though. Check your answer over here. Excuse me. When a number is multiplying into the fractions, we essentially just multiply it to the top. Right? Because the denominator of just a number... What's up, Skylar? Glad to have you here today. The denominator of just a number is 1. Right? So when the denominators multiply by each other, they don't do anything. So really all we do is negative 3 times the 3 on top here and get negative 9. Negative 3 times what's on top over here? Negative 2, not 2. This is a negative 2. Or tell yourself that the fraction is negative, and a negative times a negative will make a positive. Skylar, you're probably just gonna want, if I can get words out, you're probably just going to want to watch the video because class is almost over. So don't worry about it. Like, it's all recorded. So yeah, don't worry about it. Also, you can just come copy my notes if you want. Like, I can make you a Xerox copy too, the copy machine, if that's easier. Any questions on this? Or I got one more problem, and our timing is perfect. 7 over 7 could be 1. It's nicer to write as 1, but you could write it 7 over 7. So yes, I went horizontally down here. Does it matter if the number that is multiplying, they even give you the multiplication dot there, does it matter if that's after the binomial? Nope. Still multiplies. So a number that comes after the binomial, which remember binomial means it has 2 pieces. We have a number and we have a variable. That will still multiply, whether you draw the arrows on top. So please write this out in your paper so we have an example of it still multiplies the same way. We still draw the arrows. So it's exactly the same as writing it like this. If you need to, just literally rewrite it the other way. Rewrite it with that number that's multiplying first and the arrows going from left to right. If your brain doesn't need to do that, you can leave it written like this and just multiply with the arrows kind of going right to left. So go ahead and do that multiplication. If you need a calculator, you can use it. But I would encourage you to break things up. Like, what is a positive times a negative? Then ask, what is 3 times 2 and what is 3 times a half? Right, if we break things apart. For essence of time. There's the rest of the solution. I'm coming around with wipes. If you borrowed something of mine, please don't steal it. But then again, if you really, really need it and will use it, I guess I understand you taking it.
Michelle told me she still has some of your house.
Can I please have it back? I knew that some of them disappeared last year because of the pandemic and everything.
It was 4 years ago.
Well, that's just her fault, not my fault. It likely we don't use anymore. Might have been what happened, but I didn't care that it didn't come back. Because if it was, is it a CPM book?
I don't know.
If it's a CPM book, I would like it back. Please check Maht. If you have a progressing or missing on the mastery, progressing, you just do the progressing mastery in Schoology. Missing, I would like you to turn in your actual paper mastery and do the progression to mastery. So I would do both of those things and then turn in your paper mastery. If you turned in your paper mastery and need it back to do the progressing to mastery, come see me. I do Lucian, I have paper for you. Almost had a collision there. Alright, I don't even know what today's schedule is, but I think that's time. Yeah, but things change so often. 52, I guess. So we still technically have a couple minutes. You guys want to see something cool then? If we have 2 minutes to spare? Here, sit down back in your desk, but like try to just like keep it like if you don't really use it, it's fine. I thought this one was... Who has a record player? Like, who has now become one of those, like, oh, yeah, I listen to vinyl.
I went to the record shop on campus and I got the 99-cent used records.
Nice.
And that's now my new way of finding different types of music.
Oh, yeah, that's a great way to discover music, is the dollar vinyls. So, the slow-mo guys asked, how fast would a record have to spin to, obliterate itself?
But they do break it.
It wobbles. That was the other cool thing, is it, like, wobbles. Here, watch, and then we should leave. Did you see it wobble right before it broke? Like a crayon, it like colored the cinder block. I think they show the slow-mo of it right now. There you go. It's so cool when it breaks. So if you think about how the force is being distributed, all of the inertia is coming from the center. So the forces are acting from the center out. So that's kind of why it shatters like it does. Yeah. All right. Have a great day, guys.